Hello and welcome to the watering hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. And we're live. Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, and sitting right over, nope, that way, right here, we've got the incomparable Megan Lewis of Digital Hammurabi. Welcome, Megan.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You're looking fabulous in your Pride-themed eyeshadow.
Well, thank you. I felt it was probably a good move. It's not only Pride Month, but we're going to be doing some Pride-related stuff, so
yeah,
felt like having fun.
Is it Pride or
homophobia?
Yeah. Countering some anti-Pride, I guess, would be.
Yes.
So Megan Lewis is, if you're not familiar, she is half of the Digital Hammurabi team. Her and her husband, Dr. Josh. They've got a lot going on. DigitalHammurabi.com is linked in the description, as well as there's something a bit new that I've been hearing about.
So Josh, about a year ago now, wrote the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament, and it was very well received and people seem to find it very helpful. So he's written volume 2 of the same, and it is currently out for peer review, but we have it on pre-order on the Kindle. So I think the link is probably floating around somewhere. And it should be out in Kindle and in physical version. We're hoping by September 1st.
There's a chance that you were muted for all of that. I'm confused. Oh, no. Never mind.
I hope I wasn't.
No, you weren't.
Okay.
Oh. I'm sorry.
No.
That was...
The thing is, I mute myself so regularly on my own live streams that it is very possible. But none of my mute lights are flashing at me. So
I was I was just scrolled to a part of my audio mixer that I'm not normally at. And you're coming through on 2 channels on my end, so I need to put one through, otherwise there's going to be an echo and mute the other one. And so the muted one was there. It was like, oh no,
okay.
We haven't been muted this entire time, have we? So just a short, what do you mean echo? There can't be an echo. There's only one source. Don't tell me there's an echo. Okay. Anyway, I'm back to drinking this evening. I bought a celebratory bottle of scotch. I've never tried Chivas Regal, and I've heard it's a good one. I've served a lot of Chivas in my time. I like a good 12-year-old scotch. Got to specify that it's scotch. But yeah, no, I finally today, I got my van back.
Woo!
And I know some people might have been following along with the saga. Most of you probably not, but I bought a brand new Chrysler plug-in hybrid van, and when it works, it's great. But it has spent more time in the shop than some beater cars that I've had, and every time, it's gotten worse as time goes on because now we're in the chip shortage and there's a lot of electronic components that have been acting up with it. So it's been worse recently.
Has it been new problems each time, or variation on the same?
I don't know exactly what it is. They tell me that they're replacing modules. I don't know what these modules are. I don't know what these modules do. I'm not a mechanic. I just give it to them and say, okay, do what you need to do. So this time it went in, they thought it was only one module and they ended up replacing 3. But the problem is because of the chip shortage, they would order one module. Because we're a small town. I'm the only guy in town with an electric van. So they don't have these things on hand because I'm their only customer that needs them. So they just order them as they need them. But the problem is with the chip shortage, it takes like a month to get them. So I've been driving a rental car for 82 days. And I finally have my van back. So I'm having a celebratory glass of scotch.
You deserve it. That's a long time to be without your car.
That is nice.
Good.
It is. I approve of Chivas. And Adam Broughton heard about the van saga. I remember your name, so if I remember your name, you've probably been chatting long enough for me to actually remember you. So Oh, Donald. I'm gonna say your last name wrong. I'm sorry. Botker. Donald says, "Does Canada have lemon law?" Sort of. It's different depending on the province. In Ontario, what we have is CanVAP, I think, is the acronym. I forget what it stands for, but basically, it's an agreement that the car manufacturer companies sign on to that essentially says if you buy a new vehicle from us and it keeps needing work, you can, if you're not happy with with it being fixed every time, you can go through third party arbitration, and if the arbiter agrees with you that it's gotten out of hand, they'll just replace the vehicle for you. And the car companies have to abide by what the third party arbiter says that they need to do. The problem is this is a voluntary thing. There are like 2 manufacturers in Canada that have not signed on to this arbitration agreement, and one of those 2 is Chrysler. So I am looking, like, well, it works. I'm looking to trade it in for something else, and I think it's Chrysler, and I think the other one's Mitsubishi that hasn't signed on. I might be wrong on that one, but like, those are on my like definitely never again. I am not going to anyone that does not have this arbitration thing, because it's been in the shop so much that they should have just given me it. Would have been cheaper for them to give me a new one. I got the invoice for the rental, just the rental, not even any of the work they've done on the van, not even any of the parts that they've done on the van. Just the rental car for me cost $6,600 this time, and I made it cheaper on them because they originally tried to get me in a 7-seater SUV type thing, and it was this ridiculous Dodge Durango Hemi, more power. It was the RT model, so it's like designed to be raced or something. I don't know what the RT thing is, but like car guys get excited when they see it, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to use that much gas just driving my kids around town. So I was able to trade it in for a little smaller SUV. It helps that my daughter's big enough to sit in the front seat now. But anyway, now that my little rant is out of the way and I'm happy to have my vehicle back, we have some news articles.
Yay.
So we're going to start with now I had a bit of a glitch. If I get off track on this one, it is probably my fault. Because you guys know I have my little highlighting app, so I can remember what points I want to make. I remember highlighting this article, but it was not highlighted when I loaded it up. So I was like desperately going through and highlighting things while the countdown was going, but I didn't make it all the way through the article. So if I trail off at the end, that's why. But yeah, so this is Florida's 15-week abortion ban violates Jewish religious freedom, says lawsuit. So, for those who might not be aware, in Judaism, it's actually considered a part of the religion that, you know, if a woman, like a woman's access to abortion to at least a certain extent is a part of their religious practices. It's like required for the health and safety of the mother, that like if it becomes necessary, and that includes mental health too. So I would assume that they're okay with things like I'm not ready for a child. Because that is a mental health thing.
Oh, yes.
That's just blanket statement out of the gate before we even discuss any of this. My stance is that every child should be a wanted child. So, like, I don't understand this whole opposition to having people have kids on purpose. It just doesn't make sense to me. I know they say, like, oh, we'll just abstain.
Yeah, like that has ever worked in the history of humanity,
no,
please.
Never. Anyway, so a Jewish group in Florida filed a lawsuit challenging the state's new 15-week abortion ban. So basically, in Florida, abortions will be illegal after 15 weeks. No exceptions for rape or incest or anything like that.
And for people who have never been pregnant, like most people don't know they're pregnant. Well, not most. A lot of people don't know they're pregnant that late or that early. Like, especially if you have irregular periods, like you don't know that you've missed anything. Like that's super early.
And if you're not familiar, the way they calculate how many weeks pregnant you are, it's not how many weeks it's been since you got pregnant. It's how many weeks it's been since the first day of your last period. So 15 weeks pregnant is probably 13 weeks. Like 15 weeks for this purpose is probably about 13 weeks of actual physical pregnancy.
Yeah.
So that, like, yeah,
It's ridiculous. And I've, for people who don't know, I have been pregnant 4 times. I've had one miscarriage, one stillbirth, and I have 1-year-old twins and a 4-year-old. And every single time I've been pregnant, it has been on purpose. We have been planning and trying. And because I've been planning and trying and paying really close attention, I found out super early. If you're not paying attention and you're not trying, and like I said, you have irregular periods, you're not necessarily going to know by what they call 15 weeks. So you end up with, oh my God, I'm pregnant and I am now too late to do anything except have a baby.
yeah, actually,
Not good.
slightly off topic, but I remember hearing an interview with an abortion provider in Texas where she mentioned that the practical effect of Texas's abortion ban thing, where I think they were doing 6 weeks or something, the practical effect of that was that it actually increased how many abortions were taking place, because like if women found out, or if someone found out they were pregnant early enough to actually fit into that time frame, they are now like, I don't know whether I want to keep this baby. I'd rather regret an abortion than regret an actual child.
A child.
So yeah. I'm going to just go have the abortion and then sort it out later, sort of thing. So
right, because you don't have time to sit and deliberate with it.
So stuff like this actually has the effect of increasing abortion. So if they're against abortion, they shouldn't be doing this. They should be allowing people to think it through. Because, you know, like...
where's the fun in that, though? You can't legislate to control people if you're going to let them think about it.
So I will admit here, our third child was a surprise. Our doctor offered us abortion when she found out that we were pregnant. So my wife was using an IUD and it failed. And it's like, okay, well, we need to remove the IUD. That itself might be dangerous for the baby. So it was like, before we had it removed, we have to decide, do you want to keep the baby? And we were planning on having a third kid eventually, just not quite that soon. So it was like, yeah, we'll keep the baby. It's fine. Do your best. And we have a wonderful child and we love him. But if there was like a, like, you need to decide within the next 24 hours because otherwise it's going to be too late to have an abortion, like whether or not you're going to keep this baby. And we're like, I don't know. We weren't really, like, we were planning on having a third, but I don't know if it, like, maybe we're not ready yet. Like, we might have rushed into an abortion in that case. And, you know, like, no shame on anyone who does do that, because like, if like I said, if we didn't have time to think it through, I'd rather regret an abortion than a child.
No, absolutely. I'm of the same opinion.
So I want to read, this is directly, I believe this is directly from the lawsuit. It says, for Jews, all life is precious, and thus decision to bring new life into the world is not taken lightly or determined by state fiat. So that's pretty much what we've been saying here. Every child should be intentional,
should be wanted,
and not because the state says you have to. Then in Jewish law, abortion is required if necessary to protect the health, mental or physical well-being of the woman, or for many other reasons not permitted under the act. And then as such, the act prohibits Jewish women from practicing their faith free of government intrusion, and thus violates their privacy rights and religious freedom. So this is kind of where we're going to, like, we're going to find out whether or not all these judges that have been, like, upholding all these RFRA claims are going to put their money where their mouth is. Like, is this actually a matter of religious freedom, or do you just want to promote Christianity?
It's a matter of Christian religious freedom.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only real true religion, and all others are just dumb.
Stuff like this kind of blatantly shows the lie that is the whole, oh, well, we believe in Judeo-Christian values. Like,
no, you don't.
There's no such thing.
You don't know what Judeo-Christian values are. You know what Christian values are, and you're assuming that because the Old Testament is kind of mushed together with the New Testament, that they must have the same values.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, sorry, I got derailed a bit by the chat. Casey's in the chat. She says that she actually got pregnant and had no clue because her doctor told her that she couldn't get pregnant. So yeah, there's situations like that as well. Um, but anyway, oh, I was going to say something else about Rifra.
I just want to piggyback on what Casey said and what you were saying earlier. There's a lot of birth control that just completely stops your period. So if it fails, there's not going to be anything to tell you that you're pregnant unless you start getting morning sickness or a doctor finds it in a routine checkup. So again, you're fucked.
It's also possible that if you're pregnant, you can have spotting around the time you would normally have your period.
Yeah.
And spotting can be just a light period for some people, especially if you're on birth control.
I do feel like some of these laws have been written by people who
don't know how any of this fucking works.
I mean, when I say people, realistically, we're talking about men here who don't know how menstruation works or how the female body works or really what is involved in being pregnant, because it's just so much of it is just dumb.
Like I don't. Well, okay, I've so all the stuff that I know about pregnancy, I picked up from having a pregnant wife because I cared and I paid attention. How do these people not know this shit?
It's not talked about, and it's not talked about. It's not taught in schools, and even so much of what I went through in my various pregnancies and after, like postpartum is hellish. Like, and no one tells you about it. It's just you get pregnant and it's like, okay, well, I kind of hang around for 9 months and then I have a baby. Actually, no, it's a marathon as far as your body is concerned. It's an absolute marathon.
After our first baby, on the way home from the hospital, she had a C-section. And we look like very, very healthy young people. And I remember we were walking into a Walmart like on the way home from the hospital, and she was walking so slowly and like leaning on the shopping cart and everything. It's like, to people just looking at us, not knowing that she just had major surgery, it looks like we're a couple of healthy young people walking like really old people. And it's like one of those things where it's like, if you know, you know. Anyway, yeah. I remember what I was going to say earlier. I was going to point out, as an ex-evangelical, I can kind of see like when they talk about Judeo-Christian values, the Judeo part isn't what actual Jewish people believe. No. It's the evangelical interpretation of the Old Testament is the Judeo part. So it's really Christian interpretation imposed on the Old Testament Christian values. But yeah, that's probably what they're thinking. And I'm genuinely curious what like Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro are going to have to say about stuff like this if they don't just flat out ignore it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what they come up with.
Yeah, so the 2014 Pew survey found that 83% of Jews in the United States believe that abortion should be legal in all or most cases. So
that is really high.
That's higher than I expected it, because I expected there to be a few like I've heard about abortion being part of the Jewish religion for a long time now, but maybe this is my ex-evangelical not upbringing, because my mother's not an evangelical church. This is personal biography stuff. I kind of self-radicalized into evangelicalism. I was raised in a very liberal church. The church I grew up in was the first church in Canada to approve of homosexuality and do gay marriages and stuff like that. But when I was at the annual general meeting where they decided that, I was sitting there going like, but Moses said in Leviticus 18:22. So yeah, I can't. Moses said it. I cannot blame my upbringing for that. I did that to myself. But maybe it's just my ex-evangelical perspective, but I expected there to be like much larger populations of Jewish people that just like had kind of a similar view. Like I like in my mind, I thought maybe the Hasidic community was anti-abortion. I'm not going to say whether or not they are, because I don't actually know. And
No.
I'm unlike evangelical Christians, I'm not
You're
going to
not
just
going to just
pretend
say,
like
well,
I
it's a
do know.
Judeo-Christian value, so they must all be anti-abortion.
I mean, like Numbers 5. Come on, that's an
Yeah.
abortion.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not. It's not a good reason for an abortion, but it's an abortion. I mean, it could be a good reason for an abortion. It's not universally a good reason for an abortion. So yeah, but what I like so we're on Only Sky. This is Hemant Mehta. I did 2 articles from him. I kind of wanted to like, I don't like sticking to just parroting Hemet all the time. But he's so good.
He is.
And like I looked at the other source. Maybe that's what I highlighted. Maybe I read the other article and
Something
highlighted
else.
that. I'll bet you that's what I did. But yeah, I remember I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll pull this from the actual thing and I'll put my own spin on it or whatever. But it's like, no, Hement's saying all the stuff that I would want to say, so I'll just go with Hement. So I like what he says here. Either judges need to admit that non-Christian views don't matter, or they need to respect the faith-based beliefs no matter where they're coming from.
One of the things that really was surprising to me when I first moved to the United States, because one of the things that you do kind of know growing up in Europe and in the UK is religious freedom is an American a thing. It's like you kind of think it's kind of what the state was, the nation was founded on. And then I moved here and I was like, it's not religious freedom. It's the freedom for Christians to do Christian things and to tell everyone else that they should also do Christian things. Like, it's absolutely not religious freedom.
Yeah. Oh, I'm seeing there's an ad for the okay, so I play a little game with myself, especially when I stream on Wednesdays, as I listen to what's it called, Scathing Atheist. I do listen to the Scathing Atheist, and they come out on Thursdays, and they often cover the same news articles that I cover. So I like kind of play a game with myself, see how many of them that I cover that they're going to cover as well. So I do have to mention this because they are probably going to cover it, but there was a guy in Boston that tried to burn down the satanic temple headquarters. And so he actually like, he poured a bunch of accelerant, we don't know, probably gasoline, on their front doorstep, lit it on fire. He's wearing a big t-shirt that says God on it. And then he didn't leave the scene. He stood around and waited to see what the damage would do. So they like arrested him on the scene. So that's pretty funny.
Bold.
And I imagine that's
and like that's the thing, because people don't think it applies to, well, people think it only applies to them. And that when they're doing things like setting other religious houses on fire, like no one's going to arrest them because they're not doing anything wrong.
So I want to get this on record. You are a Christian, correct?
Yes.
So when Megan is speaking about stuff like this, she is bringing the Christian perspective to this.
Well, I'm bringing the very liberal Anglican perspective. But yes, no,
Steven Anderson doesn't think you're a Christian.
No, honestly, most American evangelicals don't believe I'm a Christian, which, you know, fair enough. I hate their brand of Christianity. So we will just agree to dislike each other.
Yeah. So in the lawsuit, they say pretty bluntly, the Jewish people have often borne the brunt of the horrors that occur when the power of Christianity has merged with the power of the state.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, as much as the evangelicals like to claim Hitler as an atheist, like maybe he was in his personal life, but in his public life, he definitely used Christianity to do the shit that he did.
Yeah.
And this is where I kind of this is where I stopped highlighting things. So the lawsuit alleges that the state would be violating a woman's right to privacy. That's the whole thing that Roe was founded on.
I was going to say that was Roe v. Wade's basis.
Yeah.
I believe.
And that's one of those things where I feel like playing devil's advocate and saying that they were correct. What's his name? Is it Roberts that wrote the opinion that leaked?
I don't remember.
I don't remember who it was, but whoever wrote the opinion that leaked, I keep wanting to say Scalia, but like, no, it wasn't Scalia. He would have agreed with it, but it wasn't him. He's kind of dead.
little bit.
Yeah, whoever wrote the opinion that leaked, they were appealing to like tradition and like all this bullshit stuff where it's like, okay, well, if you're making the argument based on that, then slavery should be okay, and we need to overturn those amendments. But like that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the right to privacy with your medical doctor is not explicitly written in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. If that's going to be an issue, maybe it should be. Maybe that requires another amendment, because I feel
just
like
pop it in there.
I feel like privacy between you and your doctor is pretty damn important. Alito. People are saying Alito in the chat.
That was the justice.
Yeah. Alito is one of the names I was going to throw out, but I wasn't sure. It's sad. Like, I can't even name a single Canadian Supreme Court justice. I know they wear the Santa costumes, but I don't know any of their names. But I know Alito, I know Kavanaugh, I know Roberts, I know Thompson.
I feel like in the US, I feel like they have a disproportionate amount of power. Because I can't name any like corollary in the UK, and I think it's because they don't wield the same level of power or influence. I could be wrong. Let's be honest. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's quite the same. I think our checks and balances are differences. Like the parliamentary system has a completely different method of having checks and balances on things than the presidential system.